YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this, we got the NX8. We've got the P-51 1.5. I haven't flown this for so long. Check this out. Watch, look at how beautiful that is. Look at the tail wheel, retracted, beautiful. Okay, we're gonna bring this back out. Now this plane has been out for a while. So long that we programmed it on our DX18. So I just had to set it up on the DX or the NX8, which is crazy. That is so long ago. It feels like a million years ago. So we had to go through the old procedure for putting safe on, and I was just reminded how big of a huge pain in the butt that was. So elevator, rudder, ailerons, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. So one thing to think about if you get this plane and you're wanting to try to activate thrust reverse, I don't even know if you can because the firmware is old. You'll have to update the firmware on the receiver and on the Avian ESC if you hope to do that, unless you get a newer one that has those things. So just keep that in mind if you're watching this video. We did this, what year did we do it?
I didn't even look.
It was before we got the NX6. It's been forever. Yeah. Okay, so we've done a little dirt work out here, so just please forgive us. We're trying to get things ready for spring. Beautiful plane. This is the legit P-51. We're gonna see how this thing does. We are an AS3X only. Get that tail up, get her in the air, out of the flaps. Look at that power, guys, 6S power. Keep in mind, I do not have this trimmed. Oh man, that looks so gorgeous. No trim yet. Kind of riding the elevator and ailerons a little bit. Oh man, wow. You could hear it when it cuts the air. Wow. Okay, so let's get into flat and level flight. We're gonna watch it roll. It's gonna roll to the left. Okay, a little bit of yaw, a little bit of roll, and we need a lot of up elevator. Do you hear that? Sounds so crazy. Okay, take off flaps here. Remember, this plane likes some speed. Up and over. Then we're gonna go down the runway. We're on a 50 seat pack or 100 seat pack. Do you remember?
50 seat.
50 seat Gen 2.
Mm-hmm.
It covers some ground, guys. You gotta be aware of that when you get this plane. It is not like flying the P-51, that's the 1.2. Checking my trim. Oh yeah, just still got a little bit of hesitation to the left. Oh man, that's a beautiful spot to be flying right there.
Yeah.
You guys see that sick amount of P factor? I mean, there's torque, ample torque. Oh man. Guys, just loving this. Loving the way this thing's flying in the dead calm. Well, I gotta say one thing too about this plane is that you wanna fly it fast because it does stall. Okay, so you wanna take about 4 steps back toward, perfect. Okay, full landing flaps here. We're gonna see how it behaves. I did a 6 and 8, okay, for my flap correction. Oh, so freaking gorgeous. Don't forget, you need your gear out way early because they are slow. Okay, out of the flaps, out of the gear. And we're gonna go in here if we can get it in time. I think my gear doors may be shaking a little bit there. Did you hear it?
I did.
Oh, so we have safe select on this thing too. I don't really use safe anymore. Cornhole's kind of weird. It just carries so much forward momentum. I almost wonder if we should take the landings on the road like Chicken myself. The last time we flew this, I spun out, remember, and went behind me on the driveway.
Oh.
Just about went into the drink. Man, that looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Guys, don't forget to fly your planes. Sometimes when you're flying these planes, you just want to kind of let them do what they're doing because you're so into watching them. Don't forget to fly it. This plane will keep you on your toes. Now, that being said, it is a good flying plane. It's calm today. It flies a lot heavier than the P-51 1.2. And for that reason, I never suggest this for a beginner. I think it's one of the hardest planes to fly in the E-flite lineup. And I know that some people at E-flite probably won't like me saying that. But I just, I think it's an easy to fly plane, but it's a hard to land plane in my opinion. Because look, I mean, I'm just doing everything I want. Once you go by the mailbox there, camera crew, if you can work your way back. All right, we're gonna do a pass right here. You good? Hey, right there. Quiet feet.
9,
hey,
8,
turn your body.
7, 6,
Over here, please.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, a lot of rudder on this turn. Gear coming out real early just to be on the safer side. Now, this is not giving us any warnings at all for telemetry. Out of the flaps. So gorgeous. But like I said, it's a heavier plane. It's a lot bigger. 1.5 means it's almost twice the size of a 1.2. Okay, full landing flaps deployed into my base leg, really riding it almost a straight. Keep those G's about 1 to 2. On the main, she's perfect. As soon as you put it into the tail wheel, you're gonna find it's a different animal. Camera crew, do you remember how it slid out about where you were? I just need you to be aware, the first time I landed this, it spun out about where you are.
Okay.
Okay, full landing flaps in gear this time. We're gonna see if we can slow down a little bit before we actually land it. So we're way back there. And this is Louis the IV, I believe, is the, ooh. We got a fellow roadster coming. So we're gonna go way up here in a holding pattern. Do you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you do when you're not sure. I am out of the throttle and just loitering. You know what that is? That's a tractor.
It might be.
Huh.
I haven't seen anybody yet.
Huh. Okay, gear coming down. Trade sides. Thank you. Man, it smells so good with all these trees coming to bloom. Full landing flaps. Well, there she goes. Okay, guys, so let's see how bad the damage is. It's gonna be pretty bad, I bet. This is a bummer. We'll just grab it and pull it up. Big plane, big amount of power. Throttle cut is on and tested, by the way. Let's see how this does. Are you freaking kidding me? Is that all?
Well,
Flaps?
you're missing one ear.
One of my prop blades?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. You can actually replace one.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of damage on the elevator. Look at that.
Ooh. Good bit of grass. That's
just grass. That could be flattened, straightened. Looks like my rudder servo's probably kaput. Because look at that. No, it's moving. It just got shifted. Are you kidding me? Now, obviously, I'm not gonna have throttle, but check that out. All I gotta do is take off 2 props and we can keep flying the thing. It's gonna be a little out of balance.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so if you guys ever do this to yourself, check this out. So the elevator servo is back there, or excuse me, the rudder servo is back there. Look, my battery slid way forward. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so that's gonna probably be an issue.
Did you check gear when you picked it up?
Nope, not yet, because this thing is kind of hard to cycle the gear on. So throttle cut's on and tested. I'm gonna go ahead and grab it. See, the problem is where I grab a P-51 is right here, and that's the inner gear door. Watch this. Those things come up. Ah, pull that door down, please. That's nuts. I think we might have got super duper lucky on that. Look at that. I just got to figure out how to center that rudder, and this thing's flyable.
I think if you get all the grass out of it, it'll just help.
Oh, it will center better?
Maybe. There's quite a bit of junk in there.
Well, guys, we don't often have big crashes that actually have consequences like that, but every once in a while we do. Oh yeah, you weren't kidding, were you?
No.
Oh, look, it came, it ripped off. So I'll have to re-glue that, obviously, which again, not a big deal. But my goodness, guys, that is pretty insane. Can you hold that, please, right there? I'm gonna see if I can blow that stuff out.
Oh.
See all that grass and crap? It's such a tight joint. There's a rock in there, guys. Okay, now keep holding. I'm gonna move the rudder. So we're actually not too bad.
Yeah.
So once that's square, look, are you kidding me? That's centered now. Wow.
Yeah. Just packed full of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll be right back. I'm going to take off the other prop and we'll see how this goes. Okay. So we got foam to foam here. We're just going to re-glue this seam or this joint here a little bit. Okay. Now that's the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to let that come out so that there's a little bit of extra glue, and we'll just kind of let it seep out. No big deal. And then I'm gonna take and open it back up. And if you wanna expedite the process, what you can do is you can work this in and out a handful of times. And yes, I did a lot of glue in there because it's a big hinge, or I mean, not a big hinge, but a big contact point. Okay, so you just wipe off the excess. And then it looks like we just got mud on the rest of it. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of warm water and see if I can get this cleaned off. Should be no problem. Okay, so obviously, ooh, there's a rock. There's a rock right there. You see that rock? I gotta try to work that stuff out. So I've got screwdrivers here, just a variety of different choices. I want a flat one. So I can pop that out, that rock. Yeah, that's not gonna be good if you don't get that out. I'm gonna get this Clovers, Friday the 13th. Now that I think of it. Okay, so we're just pushing that down in there and just letting that glue squish for the last time. And hopefully we don't need to touch that again, okay? So now the next thing we have to do is we have to fix the prop because that's the other thing that needs attention. So obviously the best thing to do would be to replace the prop with all 4 blades, which is a pretty obvious thing. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna take off the opposite prop from the one that broke, and we're also going to straighten up, and we're basically gonna take out the remaining chunk of the other prop. Now I don't wanna break this because it's nice when you have these props this style, you can actually get away with reusing the parts that didn't break. Okay, so I need a 2mm driver here. So here's 2mm, I believe is what this is. Yep. We're gonna take the spinner off. That's gonna get us access to the inside. Okay. I'm just gonna literally undo these screws. And then we're gonna have a 2-bladed prop instead of a 4-bladed prop, which won't look as pretty, and it won't maybe pull quite the same, but it is going to be faster. It'll be zippier, up to speed. It'll get out of the hole quicker. Did you hear that nut? There's a nut on the backside. I forgot about that. So we actually have to take the whole spinner off too. Because the spinner has, it's either a nylock or a nut of some sort on the backside, we're gonna have to undo this. Again, not a big deal, I just forgot about that. Okay, so we'll take that off. There's the nut. Okay, see what I'm talking about, guys? Nylocks, okay? Not a big deal, we'll just undo them real quick and let them fall out. And then we can always clean that up later after the sun's set. But the idea is when you crash, you want to be able to keep flying. There's always, well, there's not always a way. Sometimes you pretty much screw it up to beyond all repair. Okay, let's just tighten these while we're at it. See if they're loosened at all. Nope.
So you would keep that prop that you just took off that's good, and then if you would break one of these, you could switch it back out, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. And then all the nuts and everything we'll just put up here and then come back to those later. Then we're just gonna do a quick visual inspection, make sure nothing's broke. Just a little bit of plastic and stuff that's in there. I think we're okay. So we'll go ahead and come in here, make sure that that's still keyed. There is a little bit of wear on that because that's supposed to be an octagonal. So it may slip. If it slips, then we're gonna be done. Oh, except that's not true because we still have a bite point here. So it's still technically going to offer a pretty good amount of mechanical strength here. Really, that should be keyed on with a 6-side shape there, a hex shape. Okay, so I'm just gonna torque this on. Boy, I wanted to spin, feels like. Okay, that's tight now. And then we're just gonna, we got like 2 little scuffs on there. So we'll just see if we can get those. Yeah, not too bad. The grass protected a lot of this plane, which is cool. Doesn't often happen like that. Okay, the spinner's a little tricky to get on because of the overlap of the blades. So if you didn't know you could do this, if you ever have a 4-bladed prop and you break off one, you can generally break off the opposite side. And you know, like on a 4-bladed prop, like the 1.2 that's got a molded single piece, it's a little bit harder to get them exactly balanced. This should be pretty much exactly balanced. So we're gonna pause, reset, and come right back. All right, so real quick, before we go back out there, we ended up with 19.9 volts. So we actually had quite a bit of life left. I forgot about that. If I would have realized that, I would have loitered longer and not made a big thing of it. It does look like I compressed the foam a little bit in the middle. That was a pretty aggressive crash, actually. We should have been way, way worse than we were. I think we lucked out in the way that that plane crashed. So at any rate, I'll take it. I mean, it's not good to have a crash, but when you have a crash, you got to learn what went wrong, try to avoid it in the future, and move on. Because if you let a crash screw up your experience, it kind of ruins everything. Okay, so not hot. We were pushing that hard. I think we did pretty good there. So we'll just leave that there. And we're gonna do another, I wanna do another Gen 2 because I felt like that worked good. Now, one thing I gotta warn you about, these batteries are a little bit wide and it makes it hard to slide this tray in. So what I was gonna suggest you consider is when you put in a 50C pack, it's wider than a 30C pack. Normally I fly on 30C packs, but we just happen to have these charged from last week when we were filming another plane. I can't remember what we were filming. It doesn't matter. We were filming something. We're always filming something. So anyway, I wanna see if this goes in the highway because then that'll narrow up. See, the Velcro catches on those rails is the problem. And so if you are, gosh, this plane could really use that reverse thrust too. It would slow it down way quicker. Problem is you'd have to be committed with your tail wheel down for that reverse thrust to be able to work. This plane is just so heavy and I feel like it flies heavy. And some people like the way that that feels. I personally am not a big fan of the way it feels because it scares me and that it's responsive when you're moving, but then when you're not moving, it is like brick. So you have to keep moving. And like you could see, I can run it down the highway forever on its mains and have no problem whatsoever. But as soon as you get that tail wheel down, all bets are off, baby. Fits in perfect, by the way. See? Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and I wanna kind of bring this level just so, it shouldn't matter, but I just like to do that for. If it beeps at the beginning like that as a warning, don't worry about it, that's normal. Sometimes it takes a second for the telemetry to refresh itself. Okay, the other thing I wanna do is I wanna double check my CG because I'm wondering if maybe the CG's picky on this plane and we were not nose heavy, but instead we were maybe a little bit tail heavy even. I'm gonna check it with the gear up this time and I have my CG marked with some hot glue. If you guys are ever, oh, there's just a nut fell on the floor. Yeah. Okay, so the front hole, ooh, tail heavy. Back hole, still tail heavy. Ugh, flew pretty good for being so tail heavy. Let's go ahead and see if I can move that forward just a little bit. I'm gonna push pretty hard. That thing moved easy. Did you see how quick it moved?
Yeah.
That was way too easy. We're gonna have to shelf liner this. Now the cool thing is when you get these trays like this, the shelf liner trick is way easy. Oh, also, we're gonna do one more little corrective action. This is just a precautionary measure. And all it is just to double up what we've already done, which is to glue that rudder in. It's already glued, it'll be totally fine. That glue will set up plenty by the time we actually go out there. And we need to now, what are we doing again?
Shelf liner. You were gonna
shelf liner. Yeah, we need some shelf liner. If you guys haven't tried the shelf liner trick yet, you might want to try it the next time you run into a battery that likes to slip easy on you. And I'm just talking about this stuff. It's like what you would have in your shelves, except we have it in our shelves as well. And let's just do a small piece, something like this. It doesn't even need to be that big because it's amazing the wonders that this little piece will do. Yep. It will stop that battery from sliding. Shoot, in the right conditions, it would stop it from sliding altogether. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo here. And here, remember, we were trying to make it more nose heavy than I had configured it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to fold this and taco it so I can slide it under. I guess I'll take those out. I was trying to do it without taking that out. Okay. So put it in like this and just kind of slip it in and then drop it down like that. Okay. Then I can do this. And I can do this without having to bend so hard on the plastic. Okay, it's not moving. So if your plane moves that violently, you just crashed. And I just did, and it slipped forward on the other one. I had the other one in and I tested that before we actually went and started our first flight. Having the battery pushed forward like that makes it a little bit harder to load, but it's a lot easier to get the canopy on then, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna level the plane. It wasn't level when I started. Elevator looks good. Horizontal stabilizer looks good. Rudder looks good. Everything is working. Hitting something. What was I hitting? Is it the lead? Can you tell?
Might have been.
Okay. Okay, so we got that now. All right, so our telemetry's updated. So we're at 25.1 volts, elevator up, down, rudder left, right, totally fine. Okay, now we're gonna check the mains. And the tail wheel. The tail wheel looks a little bit cattywampus, but that's okay. Nothing you can't just grab and straighten. See how I did that? I literally didn't even loosen anything. Okay, so without further ado, we'll be set before we take off again and we'll come right back. All right, so we're on the runway. Everything's ready to rock and roll. Just got done crashing. 6S, 5,000. Beautiful. Out of the flaps, out of the gear. Look at that, guys. Still juicy. Go up and down. Everything feels good. Feels rock solid. 15% throttle. Sounds like that prop is a little bit less balanced as it is, which is okay with me. Right through the sun, sorry. Out of the throttle, about 15% throttle. Take off landing flaps. Watch this. Watch this thing slow down. Up and over the eagle killing zone. Look at that ground it covers. Good lordy lord. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Stall turn. Probably a little bit dangerous with our last crash. 3 steps forward to the center. Right there. Perfect, thanks. Take off flaps. Landing flaps. Slowing it down, I'll show you guys if you can see those LEDs. We're gonna go right over the top of these bushes and on the inside. There it is, guys. Into the power hard. Climbing out just fine. Coming back around. Oh, let's shoot the moon. You ready to shoot the moon?
Mm-hmm.
Take off flaps. Just a little bit of rudder. Keep that nose pointed down. About 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. Up and over. And then back down. Kind of sharp. Take off flaps to aid with that. Here we go. On the inside, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Out of the flaps altogether. Sounds like a gasser right now. %50 throttle there. Oh man, that's so gorgeous. Look at that, folks. Super identifiable P-51 fuse. Take off flaps. Let's go under the sun this time if we can get it under. I don't think it's gonna go that low. Oh, right through the sun. Blinded. Okay, out of the takeoff flaps into the no flaps. A little bit hard on the elevator takeoff flaps to help with that. 30, 40, 50% throttle. Okay, going to roll here. A little bit of rudder, about 10% rudder to help with that. I'm in my middle expo setting, which is about 10 per axis. On the DX18, I think I did a lot of weird stuff on this plane, and I think it was just not necessary. Okay, full landing flaps here. Looks like I got too much down elevator correction, actually. Okay, here we go, right over the crash zone. Okay, we get into the gear coming out. Let's see if we can do a touch and go. It's not gonna land in this distance. You need to be back 10 steps. Thank you, perfect. Stop right there. Okay, landing flaps here. There you see, guys. Can't even hardly get it into a touch and go configuration. So just to give you an idea, that's a 222-foot runway. And we're not even close to getting it down. Like I said, this thing flies heavy because it is heavy. That doesn't mean it's bad, it's just a big plane, guys. I think it's probably about the weight of the 1.7 meter F4U Corsair that we've done. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and take a walk. Just love the way this thing looks up against the sky. Up and over. See how zippy that thing is, guys? It's carrying a lot of inertia. So if you guys are new to flying, like you've got 1 or 2 other planes and you're thinking this would be a good third plane, depending on what you've got, I find this to be a somewhat challenging plane. Now, I did crash it, to be honest. You know, that's not necessarily fair to the plane. But what I can tell you is that when you crash a plane, you tend to kind of think a little bit different about the way it flies. There's a reason I crashed it too. Let's not be pulling punches about it.
Get me over by the mailbox.
Up and over. I actually kind of like the way this flies better now. I feel like the balance of the plane made it a little bit more controllable. Okay, going between, you good?
Mm-hmm.
It's so calm right now, I can land either direction. That's very unusual. Okay, full landing flaps coming in. Keeping in the throttle just a little bit. See what I'm talking about, guys? On the main still. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps, out of the flaps, gear coming up. Not even a hint of warnings on throttle, or on battery, I mean, rather. It was 100% throttle all the way through the roll, backed off to about 50 on the way down. Try a high-speed pass here. Try to keep it nice and low. Using the rudder for minor corrections. Okay, here we go. So takeoff flaps. Going into a little corkscrew pattern here for a sec because I want to get my glasses off. Man, those clouds are pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out where those geese are.
They're in the field, actually.
Okay. Gear coming down. You need to go a step forward toward the road probably so you can see around me. Okay, just keeping the speed up, about 50% throttle. In takeoff flaps only right now. I'm way out there. Way out there. I might be past those first power lines. Okay, I'm past them now. Okay, full landing flaps now. That's about our second approach there. See, I love that you can get into the power, gear going up. Look at that, so cool with those doors. Oh, door just went up, so cool. Hard in the throttle, about 70–80% there to make that turn. And then just relaxing now. Just relaxing. That's uneventful. Don't want to crash it. Protect yourself, please, camera crew. And right at our feet. Exactly as I meant to do it. And I'm just going to turn the prop so people don't see the ugliness of my crashed prop. Guys, gotta say, that's pretty incredible given that I just crashed it. How'd you feel the landing looked?
It looked really good. It's just the ground looping.
You know what that means. Time to go.
You want to try that again?
Holy cow, that was some P factor. Geez, I could not overwhelm it. Gear door still going, just clipped up. So cool. LEDs are coming in nice and clear now. Get out of the power, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you see the wings bend? Holy cow. That was a pretty sharp maneuver. Little bit of reverse rudder there, up and over, and janking it down the runway. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go, full speed. Cornhole. Get it flying, get it flying. You see how I did that, guys? That was insane, folks. So, what do you do if you lose control of your plane? And when I say lose control, I never really totally lost control, but I did lose flying. That thing was no longer flying, it was falling. Like, bail out, goose. Pull anti-flaps. What do? You start trading altitude for speed. You get the thing under control by whatever means necessary, and then you do some stupid maneuver for the cameras. Okay, let's see if we can land this thing coming at us. Okay, we're just gonna relax, about 50% throttle there, 40%, 30%, just relaxing. Out of the throttle, about 10, 15%. Ooh, don't like that bounce. Okay, there we are. I like it. Might as well take it. Likes the ditch.
Apparently so.
Okay, throttle cuts on. You can't see the ugly prop since it's over there in the bush. Let's go see if we damage anything. Okay, so final thoughts on that plane real quick. It's heavy, it's bigger. Get the 1.2, you'll like it better. If you want a bigger plane, go for this. You'll be fine, you'll enjoy it, it's a good plane. I just wanna warn you, do not get it as your first plane. I had somebody the other day asking me about this, and I told them the same thing. I said, no, don't do it. You won't like it, you'll have a bad experience, and you may run the risk of being a one and done. No damage. Guys, I gotta say, for having crashed pretty bad, this plane is doing amazing.
And it is a really pretty plane.
And I'm not pulling any punches here, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about landing this plane, but I love putting it on the mains and just running down. It's beautiful. We do have crown of road to contend with. Some of you guys are gonna say, well, just don't fly from a road, obviously. But the reality is that's where we are. And it's gonna be like that for a while. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna show you also, we still have 22.4 volts. So let's back taxi this back up to the main runway, full up elevator. I'm so conditioned to put the flaps on, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the zigzag. Camera crew, let's keep up. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get one other flight in of another plane. Man, that thing looks good. Okay, there you have it, guys. You can see we're trying to plant grass seeds, so now I gotta walk out in here. Do you guys see what just happened?
I heard it.
You see that? I pushed it in. Another point for Friday the 13th. All right, guys, stay tuned. So much more to come. If you want to help support our channel, buy the planes from the links. Best way you can do it. If you don't want to buy the planes and you want to still support us, we got Patreon and PayPal, very top of the list. Check out BrianPhillipsRC.com, www.BrianPhillipsRC.com. Camera crew's been working crazy on that. Stay tuned. So much more to come.